Controlling is the best action in Two Spies. Controlling is the most complicated action. To control a city, you need to blow your own cover, but this gives you extra intel per turn to spend on other actions, and makes it dangerous for your opponent to travel to your city. Controlling a regular city gives you 1 extra intel per turn, while controlling a bonus city gives you 4, which is massive. One of the clearest ways to determine who's going to win a round of Two Spies is to look at who's controlling more cities, because they're earning more intel per turn and have more cities to move to. Top level games of Two Spies always have the map split in half, because both players know exactly how valuable controlling is. But if this wasn't enough, controlling also has one extra benefit. If you control in the same city as your opponent, then their cover will be blown. So a common way to win in the game is to prep, then move, control, and strike your opponent. Controlling gives you intel, territory, and can help you strike the enemy. Pretty sweet. That is why striking is the best action in Two Spies. I mean, how can it not be? The only way to win a round of Two Spies is by striking your opponent, so it has to be the best. Move to the same city as your opponent and strike. That is the only winning condition. And striking gets even better because of his secret twin brother, the fake strike. Striking can be predictable. A missed strike in the wrong city will lead to your demise. So rather than striking a valuable city that your opponent may be waiting to strike, you can fake strike right next to it. Your opponent is filled with glee as they move and strike for the round win, except suddenly, they're the one getting struck. Fake striking is a great way to bamboozle your opponent and get a quick round win or control an important city. And there's no limit to how many times you can fake strike. There's the double fake strike, the triple fake strike, the quadruple fake strike, and many, many more fake strikes, each one less effective than the last. Strikes and fake strikes make up all of the mind games during the beginning of the round and can win you many games of Two Spies. That is why waiting is the best action in Two Spies. Waiting allows you to stay in the city you currently reside rather than moving. If you couldn't wait during a round of Two Spies, it would be a lot more linear and overall kinda stupid. Waiting is fun. There's nothing funnier than pretending to move to a city, then your opponent strikes, and you strike for the win. It's instrumental for the fake strike as well. You wait in your city and strike, which looks like you struck an important city, which tricks your opponent to strike and allows you to strike for the win. Waiting is also super valuable because it allows you to stay safe in your controlled cities. Moving to a city where your opponent can be is very risky, because if they're there, they'll strike you and you lose. Waiting in your controlled cities is so much safer and can allow you to strike your opponent if they try to go deep. Of all the actions, I definitely wait the most during a round of Two Spies. That is why locating is the best action in Two Spies. Besides getting struck, the worst thing that can happen during a round of Two Spies is getting your cover blown, exposing your location to your opponent. This allows them to make a more informed decision during their next turn in their quest to strike you during the round. Your cover can be blown in exchange for a reward, like controlling a city or gaining intel, or it can be a consequence from another action, like controlling, striking, or getting caught with rapid recon. But for only 10 intel, you can blow your opponent's cover whenever you want, giving you extra info to control territory or strike them. Locating becomes even more useful if you have encryption. Encryption makes every action look the same, so your opponent has no idea you located them. Locate is the cheapest viable action in Two Spies, which makes it the best action to bluff the enemy. Your opponent is worried you went deep or prepped, but you just located, stayed safe, and gained some intel. And I have to mention prepping, because if you have 3 actions during your turn, locating, moving, and striking is the best way to win the round. That is why deep cover is the best action in Two Spies. Besides getting struck, the worst thing that can happen during a round of Two Spies is getting your cover blown, exposing your position to your opponent and giving them more information to strike you. This can happen in many ways, like moving into an opponent's controlled city, getting located, striking when your opponent has strike reports, or getting caught with rapid recon. But for only 20 intel, deep cover will keep you safe from getting your cover blown entirely. You're able to safely move into your opponent's controlled city and control next turn. Your opponent isn't able to locate you, which can keep you safe if they prep. You stay hidden while you strike even if the enemy has bought strike reports, and your cover can't be blown even if they search with rapid recon. Staying in cover is the best way to stay safe in Two Spies, and going deep is the best way to stay in cover. That is why prepping is the best action in Two Spies. You only have 2 actions per turn in Two Spies, and you usually buy an action and then move. But preparing an action gives you 1 extra action to work with during your next turn, which gives you a ton of different ways to strike your opponent. The classic move is to locate, move, and strike, which is the most elegant way to find and strike the enemy. Another classic is to move, control, and move. If your opponent is in that city, their cover will be blown and you can strike. Otherwise, you just control an important city on the map. You can go crazy and go deep far into your opponent's territory and attack next turn, or you can go deep, move, and strike, which is an amazing way to hide from strike reports and to stay safe while striking in your opponent's controlled city. Prepping with Rapid Recon can lead to a big chase as you run, find your opponent, and strike, or you can use these extra actions to prepare more and more actions until you have enough actions to do anything. That is why Strike Reports is the best action in 2 Spies. For only 10 intel, you can unlock Strike Reports, which blows your opponent's cover when they strike. This is amazing because your opponent needs to strike you to win the round, and Strike Reports makes it incredibly dangerous for them to strike. Instead of zipping around the map striking willy-nilly, your opponent has to play patient, because one missed strike will lose them the game. If you're able to buy Strike Reports early, it makes the round a nightmare for your opponent. Now, striking becomes super unsafe and the fake strike becomes completely ineffective. You can strike anywhere on the map to try to find them, and they can't retaliate without the threat of being struck. There's no worse feeling in 2 Spies than moving for a big strike to win the round, but you miss, your cover gets blown, and you look like a chump while your opponent wins the round, all because of Strike Reports. Strike Reports stays useful for the rest of the round too, because your opponent will defend their cities by striking, which gives you more information to find and strike them. That is why Rapid Recon is the best action in 2 Spies. Rapid Reconnaissance reveals your opponent's cover if you move to the same city as them, and this is pretty awesome. It allows you to travel around Europe, search through cities, and hunt and strike your opponent. However, Rapid Recon is a little predictable when your opponent knows you bought it. They're going to try to stay away from cities that you can easily check with Recon, but this threat of a Recon strike also gives a benefit, because if they're not in the nearby city, you can go deep and control that city to gain map control. If you bought Encryption, your opponent doesn't know if you've bought Recon or not. Encryption can lead to a surprise Rapid Recon, which can win you many rounds of 2 Spies, but can also lead to another fun strategy. If your opponent doesn't know if you bought Recon, you can pretend you bought it by checking a city, and now you gain the Recon threat without buying it. This makes it much easier to go deep, control territory, and most importantly, it scares your opponent. That is why Encryption is the best action in 2 Spies. Each action that costs intel does something. Locating blows your opponent's cover. Going deep preserves your cover. Prepping gives you an extra action next turn. Strike Reports blows your opponent's cover if they strike. And Rapid Recon blows your opponent's cover if you move to their city. Encryption doesn't give you any actual perk on the map. So why is it the best action? Well, the drawback of all other actions is that your opponent gets told which one was bought, and this gives them a chance to defend. But Encryption hides this information, making every action look the same. Now your opponent has no idea whether you located them, or bought Strike Reports, or went deep into their city, or bought Rapid Recon to hunt them, or prepped to get a third action. It's impossible for the enemy to defend everything, and now it's so much easier for you to strike. That is why you should subscribe to this channel. I thought this concept for 2 Spies shorts was pretty fun, and I'm really happy with how they turned out, along with the positive feedback. I'll continue posting daily shorts and replays, and I'm going to keep working on some other 2 Spies projects I have in mind. Thank you so much for watching.